Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Raycamp at the UMKC Innovation Center's Technology Venture Studio. Today, I am joined by Justin Bertelsen, one of our Comeback KC Venture Fellows, to talk about his solution and the work they're doing to support our community through the COVID-19 pandemic. Our Comeback KC Ventures program is specifically here to do just that. It's a partnership between the UMKC Innovation Center's Technology Venture Studio and KC Digital Drive to support entrepreneurs in bringing solutions to the market that address the pandemic. So we're excited to talk to you, Justin, about Bertelsen Education and hear more about how you are bringing this interesting solution to life. So tell us more about Bertelsen Education.
Great. Thank you so much, Chris. I grew up in Kansas City, so I love being in Kansas City and being able to serve the community here. So Bertelsen Education offers continuing education to childcare providers. Previously, pre-pandemic, the continuing education was offered in person traditionally, where childcare providers or those who work in daycares or pre-K would go to some building and there would be a seminar and then they would get their continuing education and leave. So their continuing education would be like CPR, first aid, classroom management, things like that. So Bertelsen Education has all those things on an online platform that's self-paced and more convenient for childcare providers. One interesting statistic from the pandemic is that 40% of childcare facilities in the Kansas City metro have shut down since the beginning of the pandemic. This is a real problem, but COVID wasn't the start of the problem. The problem has been happening since the beginning of the childcare movement in the United States. So Bertelsen Education comes in offering this innovative training, and we are doing our best to be advocates to be able to cause reform and a reboot of this program and in order to help families. So we have the online continuing education, but we also have parenting resources to support the parents, because we believe that if parents and childcare providers can be on the same page, then we can really create a consistency of care and better outcomes societally. So Bertelsen Education is internationally accredited, approved in 46 states, and we have over 40 instructors creating content for us and things like developmental delays, potty training, sleep coaching, disease management in a childcare facility, and tons more. So we really had a lot of traction, started in 2018, and we just relocated the company to Kansas City just last year. So we're happy to be a part of the community and make an impact here and helping not just childcare providers, but the families that those providers serve.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And as you know, it hits home with my newborn at home here. We're constantly, learning ourselves and also working with childcare providers to kind of do the best job you can taking care of your baby, right? Kids. Talk to me about what you're hearing from these folks that you're supporting, from the childcare providers as you're doing this support. What has been their experience through the pandemic and what has been their response to the solution that you've created?
Yeah. So Bertelsen Education is currently looking to work with partners in the community. We have a meeting next month set up with the Department of Labor in the city of Kansas to try to figure out innovative solutions that we can offer in addition to our continuing education. So the childcare industry traditionally has very low wages. So with the increase of wages at places like Walmart or Target or anywhere, those who would work in the childcare industry are going elsewhere because childcare is hard. I mean, it's hard handling X amount of kids. I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. And in my son's class, the ratio, which is lingo in the childcare facility, it's the ratio of kids to teachers. And the ratio in his school was 1 to 10. So 1 teacher for 10 kids. And Ross was in a classroom with 3 teachers, but there were 28 kids in this classroom as a 4-year-old. So there's a lot of burnout in the industry because the wages are so low. But there's a lot of, structurally, the industry is really, really in a bad place. It needs to be rebooted completely. So for example, if I own a childcare facility, I have X amount that I charge. And then there's there are my costs that that money is supposed to cover. But if you talk to parents who are sending their kids to childcare facilities, they're saying, oh, I can't pay more for childcare. It is so incredibly expensive. But if you talk to childcare providers, they say, I can't charge more, but I can barely make rent because I'm keeping this so low. So we kind of, what we say in the industry, have a broken system where the market isn't able to fix that imbalance. So the profit margins or the revenue that's generated by the childcare providers is very limited. But there's lots of opportunity. The market is demanding more, but nobody is entering the market because of the margins. It's not very profitable with the structure of the system. So what our solution is doing is we want to be able to be a mechanism for change of that system to alleviate one of the headaches of training. A necessary headache is we want to create quality childcare, but we're also trying to figure out mechanisms where we can increase retention and perhaps increase wages and help the industry as a whole to become more sustainable and equitable. So one thing to consider is that the childcare industry is really heavily skewed female as employees. And particularly women of color are a predominant piece of the childcare industry, and they're struggling. They're burned out. We went to a conference in Texas recently, and the childcare providers they were burned out. The restrictions that COVID placed upon childcare providers was really, really tough because they had to buy a whole bunch of equipment, different screens that changed their whole policies. Anyway, COVID kind of led a childcare exodus where people could go somewhere else, get paid more. And I've read articles where it shows that people who are passionate about childcare work in childcare and get a part-time job at Starbucks to be able to supplement their passion. So the industry is really in a bad spot, but we want to be able to offer a service where we can help maintain quality of childcare, but we're working with partners to see how else we can be influential and kind of trying to fix the system.
That's so incredibly important. I mean, we all know the need for quality healthcare and, the need for trained folks, and, no one's more important than these new members of our society to make sure they're safe and getting the support and development they need. So thank goodness for you all and the work you're doing. Talk about this community, your experience in Kansas City. You said, you relocated the business back here, you're originally from here. What resources have you come across that have been helpful to your trajectory? And, more importantly, I guess at this point, what resources do you still need from the community? How can we support your trajectory?
Yeah. So like I said, we recently relocated to Kansas City last year. I grew up in the Northland, so North Kansas City High School, or the North Kansas City School District is where I went. And I'm happy to be back. Since being back, well, let me back up. My wife and I are co-founders of Bertelsen Education. So she's also running it with me, and we're both trying to make an impact in families. So we've kind of run the gambit of resources here in Kansas City. We were awarded Digital Sandbox funding. We are Comeback KC Fellows. My sweet wife pitched at the Pure Pitch Rally. Anyway, we've been very, very involved in the entrepreneurial community. Other things, we're very close with the UMKC Venture Studio, and we're always looking to continue to build and to collaborate, because this isn't just a problem that affects just a little bit of the population. This is a serious societal issue that keeps people out of the workforce, predominantly women out of the workforce, who are staying home to take care of kids because childcare is too expensive. And it's really creating a lot of economic issues. So what we've been trying to do is partner with individuals in nonprofits, in Head Starts here in Kansas City, and across the country. So what we need from the community is really a support for and collaboration and partnership opportunities, so we can find those childcare providers that are willing, maybe childcare providers or individuals who have influence in the childcare space, who are willing and ready to make a change that's going to help the industry as a whole.
That's fantastic, and that's perfect. call to action for us to understand that, there are a lot of people that are aware of this problem out there, whether it's parents or providers. And it really, as you said, touches every part of our community. And so understanding this is just a critical juncture for the community as a whole, and that you all are doing really interesting things to help support the kind of next wave of childcare. It's just fantastic. So thank you, Justin. Again, this is a feature of one of our Comeback KC fellows and the work that they're doing to address the pandemic here within our community. I'm Chris with the Technology Venture Studio at UMKC's Innovation Center. And please reach out if we can support your trajectory, or if you're interested in supporting Bertelsen education and their trajectory. Thanks a lot, Justin.
Yeah, thanks so much.